See if it got you all. Yeah, that's got both of you.
1, 2, 3, nice.
Okay, I'll be outside.
No worries.
How close do I need to get to this thing?
15 seconds.
All the issues from every angle. 360 with Pete Davies on Mix 104.9.
And just gone 10 past 11, 360 coming to you from the Kalani Homes Display Home in Damabila Drive in Lyons. As I mentioned earlier on, our Facebook topic of the...
Good morning, Pete.
Yes. Thank you.
That's correct. In the NT News, it said how the Sex Worker Outreach Project wanted legal brothels, which isn't actually true. What we would actually want was decriminalisation, and decriminalisation refers to the removal of all criminal laws relating to sex work and the operation in the sex industry. Decriminalisation model is favoured model of law reform in the international sex workers' right movement, compared to legalisation, which refers to the use of criminal laws to regulate or control the sex industry by determining the legal conditions under which the sex industry can operate. So there is a massive difference between legal brothels and a decriminalised setting.
In the U.S., sex work, prostitution is completely criminalized, with the exception of the 31 or 33 legal brothels in Nevada, which are heavily regulated, and they are regulated without taking the workers' rights into consideration. We in the sex worker activists in the U.S. also look to decriminalization in the way that New Zealand has decriminalized as the ideal solution for us in the U.S. because it protects workers' rights without heavy-handed regulation that is intrusive into our lives. Yes. Well, if you're a worker in any job, you want certain rights, such as being able to have a say in your work, being able to negotiate your pay, for instance. And the legal brothels, in Nevada, for instance, they take 50% of the fees you collect from clients right off the top. There is no negotiation. The workers have never been able to negotiate a different percentage of fees. The workers have to abide by the rules of the brothel, and the brothel never asks the workers, okay, what sort of rules and regulations do you wish to work under? It's certainly very different from the way workers are treated in other industries in the U.S. Yes, it is. Especially if you're the woman doing all the work, yes, it's quite a bit off the top.
Just like the mines. Basically, the statement that the brothels, no, we want brothels, actually came from was where I stated how brothels are best practice, which comes from the Guide to Best Practice for Occupational Health and Safety in the Australian Sex Industry. Now, what we're talking about are things like making sure the beds are in good order and give proper support, ensuring the outfits that the workers, when seeing clients, are comfortable. Also things like heating and cooling. Now, if you're walking around with no clothes on for a long time, you don't want it to be too chilly. Now, probably not a problem in Darwin, but it also could be too hot, like you want the fans to be working. And also correct lighting, so when you do health checks on your clients to make sure that you're not, well, giving them an STI check, you need to have correct lighting for that, and supplying lubrication and massage oils that are non-allergic. So, and also making sure that there's adequate breaks between clients and between shifts. The setup is, it is legalised. However, there is no brothels. There's only one escort agency, and to work in an escort agency you need police registration. And if you don't want to register, then you can work privately. And when you work privately, you have to work by yourself. You're not allowed to hire any security. You're not allowed to work with another person, or you're not allowed to have a driver. So, you know, that increases isolation. That's the number one question. When you're working privately, you don't need to be registered with the police, even though that you have to work alone and no one knows where you are or what you're doing. So, hey, that's the question we want to know. Yeah, support staff and peer education around you. That is in the legislation. You are not allowed to hire security, or then you would have to apply for an escort agency license.
So it's very much all or nothing. I work privately, independently in the States. I work independently almost everywhere I've ever worked, except for one short period of time in the UK where I worked for an agency. I am working privately here in Darwin because I do not wish to be registered with the police in order to work with an agency. However, because I want to do things like, for instance, I would like to offer bucks parties, I want to be able to hire security for that, but it would be illegal for me to do so. That could still be iffy if, for instance, I wanted to do anything for them, like buy them dinner or give them a tip at the end of the night a further time. That would be illegal, even though they're keeping me safe and providing me a service that I need. Yes, yes.
And basically a lot of people want to work privately to protect their privacy. We need to get back to police registration, and that legal sex workers need to put their names, their last 10 years of where they've lived, all of their physical attributes into the organised crime unit. That is what the whole purpose of the story was, and it's not actually about legalising brothels, because that's later down the track. That's after the next term of after the election. Like, we're not going to ask that now. We're talking about police registration, and yeah, if we could get police out of the registration, that would be great, because people have had police checks and it's come back that they've been unsuitable, which of course unsuitable means that you are a pedophile or that you have been jailed for drug crimes. And sex work is legal, so it's completely unfair.
And that's why I'm not working with an agency. They force the sex workers here in the NT to make the decision: police registration and possible protection through the agency, or no registration and possibly putting yourself at risk. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
Pete, I'm actually going to the International AIDS Conference next month to present a paper on police registration in Vienna. So if anyone would like to donate any money towards that, it's totally off my own back. So yeah, bring it on. Thanks, Pete.
Past 11.
And you're out.
Cheers, mate.